Welcome to Mr. Mover Manager Help. Today we're going to talk about agent compensation. I think the easiest way to explain agent compensation is to actually go and show you how it works within the customer's invoice area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this, and I've got a customer's file open here. I'm going to go to additional items, payments and invoices, and I'm going to assume you know how the invoice area works. And what you're going to find when you go into an invoice now is you have a tab called Agent Compensation. This tab will only appear if you've already created an agent compensation method in the system. So if you don't see this tab, it simply means it's because you haven't created a method yet. But what happens is you then have the ability to select your agent compensation method. So you can have multiple agent compensation methods if you have different carriers, different van lines that you have to deal with. So you're going to drop down and you're going to select your compensation. That will then fill in the details that you've created in the system. And what we give you is the ability to have checkboxes to say, okay, for this customer, we had a booking commission and it was between these dates, so I'm going to select this. And it will then automatically pull the dollars from the invoice and put it in here and do the calculation. If I double click on this line, you can see what we'll be doing in the setup is you can identify, okay, what invoice item are we going to pull the revenue on, and then it'll bring that in and then multiply it times 10%, 0.1, and it'll calculate out your number for you. So I just wanted you to understand that you have the ability to have multiple options here, and you don't have to use them for every customer because of the checkbox that we give you, where you can say, for this particular customer, I want to use this service, and this service. Okay, so now that you have a basic understanding on how it works, let's go back to our initial setup. So administration, lists, resources, agent compensation methods. So I've already got one created called Your Van Lines. So our thought would be that you'd put in the name of the van lines that is compensating you. So within each compensation method, we will be creating what we call details. A detail represents any service that you've performed on this shipment, and you should be getting paid either the whole amount or a percentage of the invoice that the customer paid. To add a detail to a method, you simply click Add Detail. It's going to bring up a new window where you can enter in a description, and this is just a field that you can type anything you want to describe. So maybe it's a pickup charge or packing services. So let's type in here packing. Alright, now the default button, if you check this, that means that when you go to the customer's invoice and you select this compensation method, the checkbox that says use will automatically be checked. But you can always uncheck it if you, for some reason, you did not prefer the packing service for that customer. The next box is the revenue item. This is telling us what your revenue item is that this income should be going into. So I assume you've got your revenue items already set up, and you're simply saying, okay, for packing, you can just start typing in packing, and it's going to go to the revenue item called packing. We also give you a notes tab, a notes field that allows you to just enter in any kind of notes that you want to make regarding this to help everybody understand if they ever go back and look at it. Okay, now comes the tricky part, the equation. This is where we give you the ability to set up your formula that you should get paid for based on the a factor, whether it's the invoice amount or other factors. So let's just take a look here. Under the line number 1, we've got different sources of our values that we're going to use to calculate your compensation. So I'm just going to go through the 3 options. First, we have other items. If we go to our item list here, other items represent you could get paid per hour, per piece, per stop, per mile, per weight, per cube, or just a flat rate. if we go to our revenue items, that's going to be the same list as our revenue item up here. So if for some reason you are going to get paid based on the revenue that was calculated for something, you can do that. So, oops, sorry, let me switch over to revenue items, and now you're going to see all the different revenue items that were in your that are in your revenue item list. We also give you a total revenue option. This is used, let's say the Van Lines is going to charge you 2.2% because the customer paid with a credit card. 2.2% of the money that you are getting paid for. So let's say you're getting paid for a percentage of the hauling, and that's all. Well, you are only going to have to pay for the credit card charge based on that. So you'll have the ability to take your total revenue to that point in order to calculate out your charges for that. So you do have the ability to put negative factors in here so that it will actually show up as an expense in your list of revenue items. Alright, if you click on the invoice items, it pops up another window, invoice item type. We give you the 3 different types of customers. So if we're talking about an interstate shipment, you need to select that, and then here is going to be a list of all of the different invoice items that are in the customer's invoice. So you can see you've got bridges, bulkies, all the different things that you might have. So let's just go to, I'll just type in interstate transportation. Oh no, we're doing packing. So let's go to packing. Let's say the packing total. So the total packing that's in your interstate invoice, we're saying whatever that total is, we now want to multiply that times, let's say you get 80% of it. So I'm going to put in 0.8 and tab off that. Now the test value here is just a value that we put there so that you can see what the results of your 80% is. So if you had a packing total of $100 in the invoice, it's going to net you $80. So it's just a way for you to see what the result is, based on the value that you have in the value field. So now we have our formula set up if you get 80% of the invoice packing amount. Unfortunately, a lot of van lines are not quite so simplistic, and they have different factors involved. So let's say that you get 80% of 96% of the packing, because the van line has to take 4% off the top. So the first thing we have to do here is we're going to change this to 0.96. So what that's going to do is that's going to take 4% off the top. Now what we have to say is you get paid 80% of this result. So what we have to do is we have to add another line here for another formula. So now we have the ability to say we want to take the results of line 1 and multiply it times something. So to do that, we're going to leave it on other items, and you're going to notice that when you scroll down here, I can say take line 1, which is $96, and multiply it times 0.8. And that will give you your actual result of $76.80 if the packing total was $100. Now you can always change this here too. Let's say we want to throw another 0 in there to make it $1,000. When you tab off of it, it's going to change everything to show your results. So you can have as many different lines as you need for your formulas. If for some reason the Van Lines is saying, okay, of this 80%, you have to subtract $20 or something like that, you have the ability to do that by adding another line, saying take line number 2. Let's just do it here once just so I can show you, and I'll scroll down here. So we'd say take the results of line 2, and we would subtract $20. Okay, so that's the kind of flexibility you have. Now, we even give you more options. You'll notice this next level operand. You have the ability to say, I want to add line 1 and 2. So if you have the result of line 1 and then the result of line 2 and you need to add them together, you can select this. And what will happen is that subtotal will go into this field right here, and that would be your results. So you can see we have all these different options that you can use to create the equation that you need to get paid. We hope and we feel that we have created every different scenario that you could possibly need to get the software to automatically calculate out your revenue that you should be receiving based on any factor possible. Now let's remove line 3. We don't need that anymore, and we have our description of packing all done. So I'm going to hit save and close. So you can see now that packing has been added to my list of details for this comp package of your moving van. One thing I want to bring to your attention is you have the ability to move the details in your table to put them in the order that you want them. If they come from the van lines in a certain order, you want to keep them in that order, you can do that. Also, I want you to see we have a copy details button. So if I have packing highlighted, I hit copy, and it's going to bring up the exact same details again. So if there's services that are very similar, you can copy it and then just make any changes that you need to. So once you've created your list of all the different details, all the different services that you might be getting compensated for, then the next thing we offer is a filter to determine where you want this compensation package to show up in your list of customer invoices. So we give you the ability to filter it by job type. So if this particular compensation package is only used for interstate shipments, you could check use an interstate, and then it will not show up under local or storage customer files. We also give you the ability to filter by the tariff and by carriers. So we feel between those three you should be able to create a number of different compensation packages, but only have the ones show up where they belong. The active checkbox will make your compensation package inactive once it is no longer applicable. Let's say you used to work with a carrier and you no longer do, you don't want them in your compensation list anymore, just make it inactive and it will not be there. Alright, so let's save and close this compensation method, and we have it in the list. One other thing I want to bring to your attention is we also have a copy function here. So if you've created a compensation method and you want to create a second one similar to the first one, you can simply hit copy, and it'll duplicate the first one, and then you can go in and make the changes as you need to. Okay, so let's go and let's close out of our compensation. Let's go back into our customer here. Let's go back into our payments and open up our invoice. Just kind of go through what you can all do within here. Okay, let's open up our invoice. And the thought is that you are going to create an invoice on the invoice information tab and actually put in all the pricing for the actual invoice for that customer. So you'll have your transportation and your weight and all that type of things. Now from that, then when we select our compensation, it will automatically enter in the dollar amounts. You'll notice for packing it says enter info instead of having a dollar amount. That's because there are multiple lines in your calculation, so you just can't automatically stick something in there. One thing that you need to make sure is that you notice when I open this up, we get a message here saying that the revenue item packing in the revenue distribution tab, I'm sorry, that there is not an item called packing in the revenue distribution tab. Therefore, no values will be passed. What that means is in here we said we want these dollars to go into the revenue item called packing. But if you go to your revenue distribution tab for this particular job type, there is no revenue distribution for packing, so that's why we're getting that message. So it's very important to make sure that the revenue item in your agent compensation list is also activated for the particular job type that you're using it for. Now, let's say you do not want to bother creating an invoice for this customer. You get a printout from the van lines showing the line haul and all that type of stuff, and you don't want to bother putting in the invoice. We do give you the ability to simply double click right on this field and type in the line haul or whatever value you need to use to have the calculation work out. So you don't have to pull it from the invoice. You can do it right from here. But if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you uncheck this box, autofill agent compensation values from invoice. Otherwise, if there's zeros in the invoice, it's always going to bring a zero over here. So by unchecking this box, you can type anything you want into here. We also give you the ability to change the factors that were set up in the original system for any particular details. If I double click on a line, it opens up the details, and now I can actually go in here and change this. Instead of being 10%, for some reason, if I'm going to get paid 12% on this particular job, you can change it here for this job only. Okay, let's save and close that. You'll notice on the screen we give you the weight, cube, miles, and transportation discount. These numbers come from the invoice, not from the original estimate. So if you want to see these numbers here, they need to be in the invoice, and you can bring those over from the import all from estimate. Once you're all done, you can click the calculate total button, and it will show you your total invoice amount and the amount that's in the revenue distribution. There probably will be a difference, because if you're not getting 100% of the invoice, there will be a difference. That's okay, you understand that. When you look to the revenue distribution, it will have passed from the agent compensation tab into the revenue items that you've dictated. When you're all done, if you want, we have created an agent compensation detail report, which will give you just basically a written summary of everything that's in the agent compensation. Make it bigger so you can see a little better. So you'll see, we'll give you the name of the customer, the work order number, bill lading number, and GBL number, invoice number, invoice date, invoice amount, agent compensation method, and then the details. So you can see it's booking commission and hauling, and then it shows how much revenue you got from each one of those and what revenue items they went to. We will close that report. Go back to our agent compensation. Well, that is everything about agent compensation. I hope that helped.